All right, welcome back to CFA Cricket for Americans. Nick, the wicket keeper here.
Gabe, the night watchman.
And we are here for our 3 wickets. We're talking about IT20, Australia, and England. I did not watch much of the first match, so bear with me. I don't know a lot that happened there. I watched the second match, obviously, and we watched the highlights of the third match. We actually didn't watch the highlights of the first match, so I did get some of that, I guess. But we're going to go into this. We're going to jump right into it. For our 3 wickets, this is our segment where we discuss a series when it ends, or sometimes a match. We're super excited about it, and we talk about what we learned, what we liked, what we disliked. I'm going to go ahead and start right now and talk about what I disliked. What I disliked in this T20 series was the fact that it just, and maybe it's just a T20 situation, it just seemed like it just came and went so quickly. And that's the format I get, and I've got to get used to it. I've been watching it with CPL. We watched it now in the IT20. What I disliked is just the format, if that makes sense. And I'm going to make a lot of people upset by saying that, but I'm just being honest. Like, it just came and went. It was so quick. This is why I love Test, because I'm going to have 5 days to be able to marinate, to be able to stew, to be able to ponder and think about what I'm watching. And then we'll have match 2 next week and match 3 the week after that. With that being said, why is that why it's what I dislike? Because I feel like I just missed out on so much good cricket in that short amount of time. But at the same time, it definitely raises the stakes with this whole T20 format where you only got 20 overs. You only got like an hour and a half during your inning to do what you can do and to rake if you can rake. And so for me, that's what I disliked, as different of a dislike as that could be.
All right, what did I dislike? I gotta say, I dislike, I feel, and we've talked about this in other videos, I feel like England did a masterful job as an organization preparing their players. We're talking about in Test and ODI and T20. I don't understand how, and you even heard the announcers at time during the second guy, well, this guy hasn't seen the field in 4 months. What? I mean, you're putting your players at a disadvantage. Did they just think players were going to be able to plop on the field and go ahead and perform? You're seeing a well-oiled machine in England that has played plenty of tests already, plenty of T20, plenty of ODI, and they're at an advantage. Teams are coming in there and are literally getting shell-shocked because England is already, they're in third gear while other teams are still trying to, knock the rust off. Come on, Smudgy had 18 runs. He in the second game, 3 runs today. That's unacceptable. But I get it. This is still their version of spring training. And you mentioned when we did the review on the highlights, like, you know what? Maybe, some guys take longer than others to warm up. Maybe they should have gone for a test match. And I get it. Different countries also had different restrictions. Maybe England could open up earlier than other countries. Maybe Australia couldn't travel or Pakistan couldn't travel. We're not sure how COVID played out. But I am seeing that there's no way England is this good, that every single team that comes in here is just lucky to win a game, let alone an entire match. When's the last time they were in danger of actually losing, either a series, I should say, and whether it was Test or ODI or T20. So I just feel...
One time it came close was that first one against the West Indies. And you can say they had a rust too. You can say West Indies had rust. But that first match against the West Indies, it was close.
They looked rusty, right? And the West Indies took that first match. And in the second one, they almost lost it. If it wasn't for the amazing performance of Stuart Broad, I still remember it. 3 wickets and 14 balls. Oh, gosh. Yeah, and Ben Stokes, too. But, I mean, exactly. And after that, I don't think I've ever seen a series yet where England was actually in danger of losing the series, bro. And it's just like, oh, my gosh. You know what I mean? They're good. I get it. But they can't be that good. Isn't Australia supposed to be like the number 1 or 2 team in the world?
Today, with their win today, that they're back in number 1 ranking, which I'm not sure how that works because they played 1 series. They've lost 2 out of 3. England's played 2 series and won 4 out of 6 matches. So I don't understand how the points work, but they said T20, they're back on top. Australia is.
Did they look like the number 1 team in the? Come on.
Stop it.
Thank you. So that's what I dislike. I feel like these other teams were, and maybe it's not their fault. Maybe it's something where, listen, organizationally, if you are, even here in America, we saw how different it was between some states and other states, where some states were completely shut down, Nick, and other states were, wide open. I remember us trying to go to Arizona to travel to go to a baseball tournament so Trey could play because everything in Vegas was shut down. We're neighboring states. A border changes the rules. So maybe internationally, teams weren't able to travel, teams weren't able to catch flights, teams weren't able to leave, and that's the restriction. But you can see that there's been, in my opinion, a clear advantage for England. And to your point, when we talk about CPL, you see that it's like, man, they're a mob squad right now. And for other teams, it just doesn't feel like they're prepared yet, especially when it's their very first, ODI or very first T20 or very first test match, and England's already got so many under their belt. What did you learn, Nick?
So what I learned from this series is, man, that's a great question, because there's so much I've learned in every single match, in every single series. But what I learned on the England side is, to piggyback off what you said, all their formats are in pretty good shape. I want to say they're all ranked in the top 3 each format. Some in the top 3, some in the top 1 spot. But what I learned is that they have players that may have a bad match, may have a bad inning, may have a bad outing here and there, but you can never count them out. We saw Bairstow drop a pretty easy catch. We saw Bairstow get himself out, his own wicket, for crying out loud. And then we can see him go off for 50. We can see him go off for 40. You can see someone like Butler, who, has a hard time in the fielding sometimes, and then he busts 77. He goes the entire 20 overs. They have these guys, and now we've seen it in T20 twice. We saw an ODI the one time and in Test several times. They have these players that are on the squad for a reason. Now, there's a few players, I'm not sure why they're on the squad. I'm not going to say their names and throw one on the bus, because I think I've been a little salty throughout these videos today. But they have some guys who can play seriously, and they don't have a Ben Stokes right now because he's dealing with some family situations. And I think there's a few other players. Oh, they don't have Captain Morgan because he's injured. I mean, and think about that. They almost had this match won, the third match today, without Captain Morgan, without Ben Stokes, and with the guys they have. I mean, Denley got 29, for crying out loud. Not to say he's not a good player, but they have all these guys on their squad, is what I'm trying to say. That's what I learned, is it's like you said, it doesn't matter what the format is. It's the same story every day. England is in pretty good shape. And from our understanding of learning about cricket, it usually has not been that way. They usually, they'll either be really good and then they choke, or they're just not able to be good enough at all. So that's pretty impressive. On the Australia side, I learned that this team, in my opinion, is not even at 50% of what they can do. I can see the potential with this squad. I can see the potential with the guys, the behemoths that come up there to bat, like a Steve Smith and he gets 3, like a Maxwell and he gets 6. You have these guys who are serious batsmen. Even I know that, and they're not living up to their potential. I don't know if the bowling's really that good on the England side. We keep talking about the rust. I don't want to, beat that point down so much, but I can tell you right now, even in their 2 losses and their 1 win today, I can tell you right now, England was pretty lucky they didn't get a fully ready squad in Australia, because that team is a team to watch out for. I am not ready to write that team off whatsoever. But I learned that Australia, they had the potential, but they did not live up to it in the series. They choked, for lack of a better term. They were not able to, hold the mustard, so to speak. What did you learn, Gabe?
So on the England side, what I learned is, and it's almost piggybacking off of what you were going to say, but what I learned is they're super talented, but everybody kept telling me, listen, Archer is a great bowler, but he's not a test bowler. He is a T20, more of a T20 bowler. You know what I mean? More of a specialist. A limited overs. And now I understand why. Okay. Same thing with Wood, by the way. Did you see Archer top 95 miles an hour today? We didn't see that at all in tests. Why? Because even in his mind, he says, I cannot go out on every ball and throw 100% because I'm expected to bowl so many overs. So it's an idea, just like in baseball, where you have your starter that has to conserve himself, where if you're a middle reliever, you're going to come out and throw gas. I'm just going to give you everything because I know I'm coming out for an inning, 2 tops. and now I understand why he's probably more suited for T20 because he can let it fly, man. Wood today too touched 93 or 94. These guys got serious pace to them, but doing it over in a test, doing it over how many overs are you expected to bowl in test? They're talking about 10 or some guys 20 overs. No way. You know what I'm saying?
There's no
Obviously,
limit. You just keep going if your arm doesn't fall off.
exactly. Where in T20 you got 4 overs, so you can go out there and let it fly. So now I understand that, and that's what I learned on the England side. That you guys got, as good as Archer is, he's probably more suited for T20, and even Wood, because of how hard they can throw, but in limited overs, it really helps. You know what I learned on the Australia side is that, oh man, Zampa could bowl. He got himself 2 wickets. Oh, 2 wickets.
Wow. The
Oh,
sky is falling.
the sky is falling. The sky is falling. My man went out. I think somebody slid into his DM, said, the Americans is talking about you again. And he went out and put in work, okay? Now, I crushed him, absolutely crushed him, because he came out and got lit up. But everybody said, listen, Zampa was put in a bad position because he shouldn't have been bowling in the death overs. Guess what, Nick? He didn't
19th?
you know what I'm saying? Exactly. Don't put him in the death overs. Use him in the middle overs as they use them today, and you're gonna get better results. You know what I'm saying? But Zampa obviously it has talent. So really, that first game where he got destroyed really falls on the shoulder of the captain. Who's Australia's captain? Finchy. Okay, that's on Finch. As a captain, you got to put your players in the position to win. Still, somebody explain to me why Finch still had, I believe, Hazelwood had 1 over left. I believe, is it Mitchell Stark?
Marks? Oh,
Yeah.
Stark.
Stark,
Stark
right.
went for
Mitchell,
it, I'm pretty sure.
not in the second game, the one that they should have won,
Oh,
but they ended up losing.
yeah. I think you're right.
So these guys still had overs, and Finchy didn't use them. What was he thinking? You know what I'm saying? Is he out of practice again? Going back to this is the first, test, not test, T20 series since COVID. But did he forget? Like, again, being a captain, in my opinion, in test is probably the hardest position in any sport, because no American sport that I can think of, and guess what? No international sport that I can think of. Football isn't like that. Football, you're not going to have Messi come out and replace players on the field. No, you're the keeper now. You go be the goalkeeper, and you're moving it forward, and you're moving a halfback, center back. What? No. There's so much responsibility. I'm sorry, Finch blew that second game, and I feel like Australia blew all 3 of those games. Honestly, Australia barely won today, and it's because England threw that game away. But we saw that first game. There's no reason Australia should have lost that game, and they did, Nick. And even the second game, you had that terrible decision that by Finchy to go ahead and play Zampa. So I started making fun when I said, "Oh, I learned that Zampa could actually get wickets today." But really, what I learned is that I don't know if Finchy is cut out to be a captain, bro, because really he's made some poor decisions. Now, this is just one test series, but didn't they also talk about his struggles in the series, the test, and how he actually got dropped off the test team so he could, quote unquote, keep his mind on T20 and prepare for one day and ODI? Granted, the guy scored 39 runs today, right? He's still good with the stick. That doesn't matter. That to me, and now I understand it. Being a captain, your first job is putting everybody else in a position to succeed, not your own numbers. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, we both ate crow on Joe Root, because England has not lost a test series, okay, since Joe Root became captain. They gave one to Stokes, and Stokesy made some bad decision by sitting down Stuart Broad. And obviously it wasn't just Stokes' decision, but you know what I'm saying. Captaincy matters, and being a captain is got to be more than just putting up your own stats, especially when you have this kind of responsibility. So that's what I learned, Nick. Now you tell me. We already talked about what we disliked, what we learned. Let's end it on a positive note. What did you like?
There's a lot of things I liked. I like seeing different guys that we've not seen too much in this early season, this young season, like Mitch Marsh, who got man of the match today for Australia. We're able to see guys like Agar and Stoinis, who's able to step up on the Australia side. On the England side, we're able to see Denley, get his swag out today a little bit. We're able to see Jordan with his death overs or whatever as a wicket bowler, as a bowler, not a wicketer. But what I really, really like is all the first that we got in this series. So talking about today in match 3, we got 2 of those caught and bowled, right? We got 2 of those, 1 for each side. That was super cool. And not this greatest side the match before, we saw Bairstow get himself out, out by own wicket or something like that. You had that. That was unfortunate. But we got a lot of firsts. We got, a super close chase in that second match that worked out for England right there. Not so much for Australia. We had a lot of firsts that we saw. And one thing I really, really liked on the England side, I mentioned Marsh and I didn't mention Wade yet. I really liked seeing Wade in the match today. I thought he played really, really strong. On the England side, what I really, really liked was I liked seeing someone like Ali, who both of us had said, really, Ali at the end, this guy's not going to be able to do anything. And he was able to win that game, win that match help win that match for England in the second match. And then he was able to be chosen as the temporary captain for this third match today. Again, it didn't work out for him too much. But I'm so excited about IPL because there's so many players we have not seen play yet. Most of them play for India. We have not seen them, so I'm so excited to learn these guys. But that's what I liked the most was learning these guys and seeing these guys put on the shows that they put on. And for me to be able to see, man, cricket does have some amazing batsmen, does have some amazing bowlers. I was excited to see, Cummins and Stark be able to pitch live. We didn't get to see MS Dhoni play live. These guys are some great bowlers right now. And I'm glad to be able to see all these names that we've been doing reactions on, we've been talking about, we watched the test series on, able to see them in fruition. And, of course, I like seeing England win the series.
You know what? What I liked on the England side, I got to say, man, what I liked on the England side is that these guys are unapologetic, okay? They're going over there and they're just beating people down. And when you've got a clear advantage, you do that, all right? I love seeing Archer in his element where he could really, like, we haven't seen fast bowling like this, bro, at all. And we've watched a lot of cricket, all right? We've watched a couple of test series, right? The West Indies versus England, England versus Pakistan, England versus oh wow, what was the third test series? Pakistan, West Indies. Oh, ODI versus Ireland. Right. Obviously CPL, but bro, 95 miles an hour, 95 miles an hour, bro, and that's on a bouncing ball. That's serious. And I mean, don't let Wood behind. He was touching 93, 94 like it was easy. So I think, I love bowling and I love to see those kind of bowling performances too. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh man, that is absolutely filthy. And once again, we found out the very first, it was the second match. That's when we saw live. When you're standing in there against a guy like Archer that has that kind of pace, you're thinking more about self-preservation than you are getting that run, cousin. Because when those balls hit you, it hurts, man. And you're almost like, you got to make a business decision, as they say. You don't want to deface this property, okay, over a run. All right, you know what I'm saying? Let's just be honest. Over one run or even over a 6, I don't want to deface this property. So I'm going to pick and choose selectively. So I think for England, that's a huge weapon to have. On Australia's side, what did I like? I love Smudgy, and let me tell you why. Smudgy struggled, bro. Okay? 18 runs in that second game, 3 runs today. But what did we see? He was out there making boundary catches that could have gone for 6s. He was out there still picking up his teammates, and that's what a good player does. That's what a good teammate does. Far too often, you see players where they struggle themselves. They won't play defense first and foremost. And I don't care what sport you're talking about, whether it's basketball, baseball, American football. Take your pick. Players have that tendency to get down on themselves and then not put forth their best effort. And you saw with those catches, he put forth his best effort. And I'm fanboying now because I love Steve Smith. Did he perform the best? No, but he still came out and gave his team a shot to win. Okay, he came out today and it came down to one run on whatever it was, 3 or 4 balls, where obviously things could have gone a lot different if he doesn't even get those boundaries. They put that pressure on England, where luckily England was for England's sake, they were able to come through. But I could see, listen, I could have seen that breaking very, very differently if one or two things broke in Australia's way. So it's hard to do when you're a superstar and you're not even the lead scorer in any of the 3 test games, and you're out on 3 runs or you're out on 18 runs and you're expected to go out there and put up big runs. But for you to say, okay, I didn't help my team with my stick, but let me at least help them with my fielding. Let me not hurt them and put them in a bad position. So for me, that's what I liked. And for all you youngsters watching this, if you're a cricketer, okay, I don't care if you're a cricketer, you're a baseball player, you're a basketball player, you're a football player, whatever sport you play, always remember that, man. Pick your teammate up. Just because you're failing personally and you're struggling, do not go and then punish your teammates and not play hard for them. Play hard for them. Hats off to you, Steve Smith. Great job. That's how you lead by example. And I guarantee you that this mini little slump he's having isn't going to last long.
And you know what? What about the fact that I don't think we had any rain delays or any bad light issues? So how awesome is that? Thanks so much for checking us out on our 3 wickets. You know, we want to hear what are your 3 wickets, what are your highlights and your points of this series. Let us know some information about maybe some questions we had. We always like to learn. That's how we get better. That's how we get smarter when it comes to cricket. Don't forget to do those kind of things. And if you don't mind, go ahead and like and subscribe and come back tomorrow for some more videos, or probably the next day. We don't always put daily videos on Cricket for Americans, but you just never know. And don't forget, until next time.
That's 6 runs.